Frank. We're back again for number 33 on your list, and this time it's a bonus twofer. We're going to be talking about The Shop Around the Corner and You've Got Mail. The Shop Around the Corner is a 1940 rom-com directed by Ernst Lubitsch. It stars James Stewart, Margaret Sullavan, Frank Morgan, Joseph Schildkraut, Sara Haden, Felix Bressart, William Tracy, Inez Courtney, and more. And You've Got Mail is a 1998 rom-com directed by Nora Ephron and starring Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan, Greg Kinnear, Parker Posey, Gene Stapleton, Steve Zahn, Heather Burns, Dabney Coleman, Dave Chappelle, and John Randolph. So as far as the movies go, let's start out with the original, The Shop Around the Corner. The Shop Around the Corner stars Jimmy Stewart as Kralik, who's sort of the supervising manager for Matichek's department store. He's been working there basically since the store opened, and he's Mr. Matichek's right-hand man. One morning, a young woman by the name of Novak shows up looking for a job. He kind of rebuffs her, and she ends up basically charming her way into a job by meeting Mr. Matichek and kind of sucking up to him, essentially. I mean, she basically becomes a yes man, and Matichek has been mad at Kralik for not agreeing with him enough. So he hires Novak on as someone who will basically just kind of agree with everything he says. The two begin a contentious relationship, and that causes problems for them throughout the film until Jimmy Stewart finds out that Novak is actually the woman that he's been exchanging blind letters with. And only he knows this, she doesn't know this. So now he's trying to figure out how to take this contentious relationship that they have in person and combine it with this loving romantic relationship that they have through these letters. You've Got Mail is Nora Ephron's remake of the film. There's a couple of key differences in this one. Tom Hanks plays Joe Fox, who is the son of the owner of Fox Books, a big chain bookstore that's opening up a new spot in Manhattan. And Meg Ryan plays Kathleen Kelly, who runs a little children's bookstore called Shop Around the Corner. See the name? You get it? You putting the two together? And the opening of Fox's Books threatens to put her out of business. The hitch to all of this is that Joe and Kathleen have been exchanging anonymous emails with each other for the better part of the last couple of months and have, I don't know if it's particularly fallen in love with each other, but they become as close as you can, I guess, with each other, considering the fact that they're completely anonymous. They have no idea who each other is. So just like Shop Around the Corner, eventually something happens where Joe realizes that Kathleen is the person that he's exchanging letters with, and he has to figure out, just like Jimmy Stewart's character does, how to take the love that they have with each other over these anonymous letters and bridge the gap that the two of them have created by sort of hating each other in real life. So your thoughts on this movie are not really thoughts at all. You just wrote, watch these back to back, no context. So what are my thoughts about these two? Well, let's start with Shop Around the Corner. Shop Around the Corner is really funny. It's incredibly well made, which you would expect from a filmmaker as skilled as Lubitsch was. Jimmy Stewart gives a great performance, as well as Margaret Sullavan. I loved Frank Morgan as Matichek, and Joseph Schildkraut as Vadas was absolutely hilarious. He's this character who kind of like is just the troublemaker. Like, he goes around and listens to what people are saying, and then he kind of twists it around and like gets people in trouble by repeating a false version of the things that they said to other people. So he's kind of a rascal and a troublemaker, and I really thought that his character was funny. I enjoyed the writing on this. I thought it was a little long, but you know, for a 1940 film, like, that's pretty typical. There was one concept that I was surprised that they actually explored in this for a romantic comedy in the 1940s. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's something that happens to Matichek, who owns the store. And the only complaint that I would probably have about the movie is that some of the acting is very like that kind of like over the top acting of the time, where, you know, some of the people are really like acting. It's some of the like, you know, more minor characters, so it's not as big of a deal. But Jimmy Stewart is, again, fantastic. Margaret Sullivan's great. She does a really great job of playing a character who is completely focused on this one person who she doesn't even know, and it's like to the detriment of literally everything else in her life. Once Kralik, played by Jimmy Stewart, actually tunes into what's going on, it just becomes this much more interesting cat and mouse game where he's trying to figure out like, okay, how do I bring these two worlds together? Because she hates me in real life, or he thinks that she hates him at least. But she hates me in real life and she loves me in these letters. So how do I bring that together and bridge the two? And that brings us some interesting scenarios. So yeah, Shop Around the Corner, I really enjoyed it. It was so funny and just fun and romantic, and it's a movie that I was surprised that I had never heard of before. I had heard of You've Got Mail when I was a kid, but I didn't realize that it was a remake. So I'm a little surprised that this is not more of a well-known film, especially with Jimmy Stewart being the star of it. So I did exactly what you said. I watched them both back to back, and I hadn't seen You've Got Mail in years and years and years. Didn't really remember any of it, so it was kind of a treat for me. And it was really funny and really really romantic, and you know, Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan are pretty much perfect with each other in this. I mean, they've got the perfect chemistry. Nora Ephron has really made a sort of perfect romantic comedy out of You've Got Mail, which is kind of why like I didn't enjoy it as much as Shop Around the Corner. There was just something about it where it's like everything comes off perfectly, everything happens in the right way, and everybody is exactly this character that needs to be in there, and it just like, I don't know, something about it was just too perfect. And I think that caused a problem for me in a weird way, where it was like, I don't know, I couldn't enjoy it as much as I wanted to, or as much as I enjoyed Shop Around the Corner. So, but I do think it's great. I love the whole like New York in the fall, New York in the spring kind of thing that Nora Ephron does, and she definitely makes Manhattan like this really amazing character in it. Tom Hanks, who does not often play, you know, sort of like the, I want to say bad guy, but like not a great guy, does a really good job at it. And Meg Ryan is perfect in her role. I remember really having a huge crush on Meg Ryan back in the day, and getting to see her in You've Got Mail was kind of a nice thing. Go back in time a little bit and remember when you were younger and all the little crushes on movie stars that you had. But yeah, it was really good. Every joke lands, and everything is like really polished in it, and it's just a perfect movie. But like I said, that's why, in a weird way, I just couldn't enjoy it as much as I do other movies that I would deem perfect. You know, it was like a movie made by committee in a way, where it's like, okay, what do we need to make a perfect rom-com? Well, we need this thing and this thing and this thing and that thing. And they grabbed all those things and they made You've Got Mail on the back of this idea that was the original Shop Around the Corner. And again, she did a fantastic job. Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan are great. All the other actors in it are great. But it just like, it's just so, it's just too perfect. It's too perfect. So I would say Shop Around the Corner, solid 4-star movie. You've Got Mail, great movie, but like 3.5 stars. 3.5 stars. You know, it just doesn't, just not as good. It wants to be. It's trying so hard. But I think also a little bit of it is like, it's so of its time. Like the whole like AOL Instant Messenger and like with the dial-up internet, and like it's a little like laughable in a way, in the way that like every movie that like relies heavily on the technology of its time eventually becomes. It has to. You know, if you look at a movie like Sneakers, for instance, or Hackers or something like that, it's like were great movies at the time, and they're still good movies, but at the same time, it's like you cannot enjoy them as much as you did back when you first saw them, because the technology is a joke now. You know, I remember everybody really liking The Net with Sandra Bullock when it came out, and it's like, I haven't watched The Net since probably the 1990s, but I feel like if you watch The Net now, you would just have to laugh. You don't have a choice. Like, it's just kind of stupid. So anyway, yeah, Shop Around the Corner, great. You've Got Mail, great. Shop Around the Corner, a little bit better, a little bit more enjoyable. So originally on the list, it was supposed to be Shop Around the Corner 33, You've Got Mail 34. But we came to an agreement and we combined those two, and then you gave me a new 34, which is Night of the Creeps. I'm looking forward to seeing this one. It's a Fred Dekker film. So you know from my earlier Monster Squad film that I love Monster Squad, which is one of his earlier films. I have not seen Night of the Creeps, so I'm looking forward to checking it out. And I guess that's it. We'll see you next time. Frank, have a good day, and anybody who's watching, have a good one.